Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Griever, your host as always, bringing you guys another discussion or theory type of video regarding the 7 Deadly Sins manga, also called, of course, Nanatsu no Taizai. Major spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Click the back button, do not reload, do not continue watching, yada yada yada, if you are not caught up to at least chapter 292 of 7 Deadly Sins. That out of the way, let's get into this. Chapter 293 has Raws out, but has not dropped. It's had Raws out for a couple days and no translation in sight. But can we truly let this week go without any Taizai content at the beginning of the week? Of course we cannot. So why not bring speculation and discussions into the mix about the latest development in the manga series. The fusion dance of Chandler and Cusack into the original demon. Or sinner. Depends on your translation. And he's kind of called both. So now, in case you aren't aware, and yet once again, continue to click, watch, and rate this video because reasons are boring apparently. In chapter 292, we are told the story of the first war of dominance for the demon realm. Remember, boys and girls, Purgatory and the demon realm are still two separate places. The demon king was banished to Purgatory sometime during or shortly after the Holy War concluded 3,000 years ago. Purgatory is a state of being between the mortal plane and the necropolis, the afterlife, etc. So it's not the demon realm, it's not the goddess realm, it's its own separate place. So, now, Chandler and Cusack, wanting to preserve Lord Zeldris' strength to fight against the other sins, because remember right now there's only Merlin, Escanor, and Rodesio and stuff. They're the ones fighting, but there's still Deanne and King and Elizabeth and Gother. As far as they're aware, all those people are still back there, and even though they could probably take them right now with their strength depleted, they don't want to be depleted fighting these, the Fairy King, the heir to the, I guess, giant race, or Elizabeth herself. Like, they are very aware of the multitude of strength that these people possess. So they want to preserve Zeldris' strength for the upcoming battle. Doing so, they decide to do a fusion and tell us a tale of how before the Demon King took the throne of the underworld, of the demon realm. This implies that, of course, likely before there was chaos. We'll get into that. There's another possibility for this. But suffice it to say, there was no one ruler of the demon realm. Though demons existed, I would assume the demon realm was a chaotic place. Now, during this turmoil, he created a single demon, the original demon. He granted him great power, and in some translations it says his power. Now, this could be taken as something very similar that we've already seen precedent for. We've already seen it done with the hand of the Demon King being Zeldris, given a token of his strength. And once again, I believe that this also gives Zeldris a power boost overall. His power level is increased. He isn't just granted a form of the ruler, the magical ability, but is given a boost to all stats, shall we say. Now, during all this, of course, this demon that the Demon King created was a herald of great power and might, and especially with the sum of his own power, probably the greatest. And that's basically what happened. They took over the demon realm. He was the herald of great power. He was his marshal, his second in command, yada yada yada. But this demon, as he calls himself the sinner, created a very grievous sin. His hubris and his pride, things not uncommon in this series alone, but across all forms of media, manga, etc., comic books, movies, TV shows. It's a very common thing that happens when one is granted conquest and power and glory. They start to crave more. And he led a revolt, nay, a rebellion against the Demon King. And what happened here? Well, the details are kind of sketchy. We do not know if this was a great civil war. Was it a duel just between the Demon King and this original demon? as I said, was it a war of millions? Was it something in between? We have no idea. But what we do know is that the Demon King won. The original demon was, as far as we can tell, not stripped of his power, but instead his soul was split in two. Okay, the Demon King can split souls apart. I mean, he created the demon according to this, so I suppose soul manipulation is something that he would be able to do with his own creation. Can he do it to other people? Who knows? Speculation for another time. The point of the matter is that he split him into Chandler and Cusack, and as punishment for his revolt, charged the two of them with guarding over and watching and raising the two sons, Meliodas and Zeldris, and creating and raising them up to be proper heirs to his throne. So one day, I mean, we see who the Demon King's favorite is, Golden Boy Meliodas. Maybe that's why he's got gold hair and Zeldris has black hair. Anyways, but however, this is what happened. And now, however, by all accounts, this great demon was split in two and now can all of a sudden merge back together at a whim. Once again, this was dropped in 292. 293, from the look of the Raws, has very little or nothing to do with this demon, so we aren't likely to get answers until probably the new year or the week after. But hopefully, this is explained as to why he's able to go into fusion. Once again, this video is not about the speculation as to why Chandler and Cusack were able to fuse back together on an honest whim by the looks of it, but as to the parallels between mythologies, legends, and from what we know of both his story, his origin story, and his appearance. That's what we're going to be delving into. Where did Nakaba get the concepts for both his appearance and his story? Now this video will be split into two distinct parts. The first one being the appearance or design of the original demon, and the backstory, the origin story, and the parallels found in different legends and mythologies that I could first find out. Now, to start with appearance, I think it looks great. I found out later on that a lot of people, not a lot, but some people in the Taizai community didn't really care for the design. I'd like to find those people because I think they need a knock to the head. This thing looks badass. This thing looks menacing. This thing looks awesome, original. As I said, the last thing I'm going to bring up on the appearance section will be the creature that I believe heavily influenced the most for this design, plus some touches of originality. And potentially it's just a combination of all these creatures with Nakaba's influence and what he liked and what he didn't like, and just put it all together. That's most likely what happened. But I'm just going to go down the list of things that I first thought and the things that I believe heavily influenced the design of the original demon. Now, first, when I first saw it, once again, just quickly going through at work, chapter 292 dropped, had to read it, had to figure out what was going on. I thought Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Right away, I thought Horsemen. I thought each of the four arms, this could signify conquest, death, pestilence, all that. That's what I believed. But even with Merlin's statement of, with this, there's no chance of victory, and the bringing of, the end times, the apocalypse, which is what the Horsemen are known for. This is a bringing an end to the war, an end to the chance of victory. It would fit, but there are some flaws with this. Number one, Cusack has two swords. Now, not to say that each sword couldn't do something different, but I see no real, you'd have to stretch it extremely far, and potentially Nakaba will do this. But you'd have to stretch it really far to convince me that two swords that look identical and seem to be identical do two totally different methods of the Four Horsemen to represent each one. Once again, this was under the belief when I first scanned through it that it was the body of a Clydesdale. and that each of the arms would represent, death, war, etc. This, once again, don't really think it's really the case. For one thing, looking further at the design, it's the body of a lion. So, would it be cool if, we had the Darksider series, War, Death, and all them, the Four Horsemen riding, being the four lion men? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, but it's not accurate, and it's not what we're doing here. So, the Horseman thing is kind of a cool concept, but thrown out the window almost right away upon closer inspection. Now, the lion body with an odd tail and different head from what we've seen. It's a lion body, got an odd tail. It's not a lion tail. It's got, from the basically the rest of the body, from where that head of the lion would be up, is different. It's humanoid. Sounds like a chimera to me. Now, technically, regardless of where the inspiration came from, and we will probably never know, technically stating a chimera is correct, regardless, because the term chimera has come to describe any mythical, fictional animal with parts taken from various animals put together. Humans, demons, etc. You mix them all together, that has been termed chimera in a modern sense. The modern term for the word. It's not just based in the old tradition lion, snake, goat. The chimeras, this has been used before. Full Metal Alchemist, perfect example. We're not going to talk about Full Metal Alchemist's idea of chimera and the saddest thing on the internet. We're not going to talk about that. However, this once again is kind of a lukewarm answer. This is kind of a cop-out, well, it's mixing a couple of things, so chimera. Totally. No. There's a better answer. There is one that this fits, and it's close, but there's one that fits even better. And that, to me, and it's not the Centaur. The Centaur, once again, the same reason the Horseman of the Apocalypse does not work for this design. It's because the Centaur is a horse with the body of a man. And the Horseman, once again, this is not a horse. The whole reason for the Horseman debunk theory, or debunking my own theory here, is because, once again, it's the body of a lion, not a horse. So, could it have taken the inspiration of the whole, top half from torso up? Well, you could make the same claim for a mermaid. From the torso, from the waist up, body of a human. But, so I think it's a bit of a stretch, especially when the last one on this list fits with a touch of originality from Nakaba. Fits the design perfectly. The Manticore. Now, as you will all see from these pictures, and a quick Google search might help you too, you're going to go, what? The Manticore is nowadays generally considered to be a lion with the tail of a scorpion and great wings, either dragon wings, bat wings, eagle wings. That's what a Manticore is considered. However, the actual description and look of the Manticore as described originally, the Maneater, is having the body of a lion, a forked tail with porcupine or just regular quills leading up the side of the tail, and the face of a man. That is the original description. What we're seeing nowadays, as I said, from these pictures, from a quick Google search, is simply poetic and artistic license to have a modern interpretation, your own interpretation of the Manticore. It's not an accurate depiction, shall I say, of the true Manticore. And doing a quick Wikipedia search, you can find that out so easily that I believe that anybody drawing, writing, doing anything, doing a manga, doing a comic, doing a TV show, would take the time to search the top 10 hits on Google. and find out where the origin story for what they're trying to pull off actually comes from. I imagine that would be the case. So, with that being said, this beast known as the Maneater, and from the original description, fits best because we're seeing the body of a lion, check. A forked tail, check. And the face of a man, well, where the face of the lion would be is half the body of a man. So, in my opinion, this fits the best. You could say it's a combination of the centaur mixed with the manticore. Like, once again, the centaur mermaid-esque thing from the waist up is humanoid. You could say that it was that plunked down on the body of a manticore. Okay. Once again, a little touch of originality from Nakaba, of course. Like, this thing is definitely original in design. And sprouting the four arms, the armor, seems like Hellblaze as hair flaming up. The Pan's Labyrinth look, the blinding visor thing. There's a lot to go on here, but I believe that this is simply a combination of probably a few of these things, but mostly the inspiration for the main body was taken from the Manticore, and then added on a little touch of humanoid, little touch of originality, maybe mixed with a bit of a centaur. That to me is definitely what the description, as far as we've seen the design, the appearance, and what I could find. Now, if you have a theory to debunk this, or completely come up with a totally different creature or myth that I might have missed, and you believe was the actual inspiration for the original demon, then put it in the comments down below. I'm not going to stop you. It's great. As I said, I believe it was heavily influenced by the Manticore with the originality touches, but that's just me. Tell me what you guys think. Now, on to the second part of the video, the original story parallels. Said by Fang Streitzer, I believe, in the last Boar's Hat podcast, chapter 292, link as always in the description down below for all my Taizai content. Lucifer, the Morningstar, the fallen angel, the one who rebelled against God, is the original demon, pretty much. The stories match up so succinctly, in my opinion. And if any of you are curious, go read Paradise Lost, which is where I'm going to take arguably one of the more famous origin stories for the fallen angel. Paradise Lost is a poem written in the 1600s, and it depicts two parts, but we'll focus on part one. Satan, before he was called such, was Lucifer, the morning star, the angel loved by God, his second in command, etc., etc. And basically, there are so many interpretations. There's translation issues, there's debate, there's a multitude of other problems that come along with deciding why Lucifer rebelled, what was his position, all that such. Some people say that Lucifer and Satan are actually two totally separate beings, that the fallen angel Lucifer is not Satan in hell, or the devil. And some people believe that the reason that he fell before the creation of man. Others say that it was because he refused to bow to God's creation of man, believing himself superior, which goes along with a lot of the interpretations we know of the devil, if you believe that part of the story, and that he rebelled at that point. Suffice it to say that his pride and hubris got the best of him. He rebelled against God with a host of heaven's angels, and Daddy basically kicked him out of heaven. He crashed through the gates, down to earth, down to hell, and changed his name to Satan. Which is kind of what you do, in that situation, new place, new digs, new hairstyle, new name, angsty teenage years aside. Suffice it to say that that parallel is clearly seen. I mean, the interpretation, the massive parallels, both created by the one they rebel against, both arrogant and prideful of the power they possess, and both leading a failed revolt, leading to a great punishment. This are the exact same things that happened to both Lucifer and the original demon. Christ, I hope we get a name for that guy soon. Original demon, sinner, original demon, fusion. Can I get a name, Nakaba? I need a name. The only thing that I know that may be room for debate is not so much his origin story and the parallels to Lucifer, but the theory in the sinner's story is telling that the demon king was not always top dog sitting on nice and pretty on his big fat throne. No. He was fighting against somebody because he created this ultimate powerful herald which he granted his own power. Now, if the demon king was not fighting an adversary, for what reason would he need this herald of power? He would not. So I would say it was to fight against these different demon lords, kings, creatures, whatever, for position of being the almighty ruler sitting in his big fat chair. That is what he created him for. Now, this part would be reminiscent of Beelzebub the manga, which takes inspiration from the classifications of demons, something that is dated back for hundreds of years, centuries. And usually it associates this with 7 crown princes of hell. Sometimes different numbers, sometimes different things. Sometimes it's interpreted as in the Divine Comedy, you have 9 circles of hell with different people from history being their rulers, or different creations, or different lesser beings rather than the devil, rather than being equal. Other interpretations have the 7 deadly sins being represented by each of the 7 princes. And in some interpretations, Lucifer and Satan are 2 separate beings, along with Leviathan and Beelzebub and all the Mammon and all these other princes. It's reminiscent in many different works of fiction, such as the Diablo series and once again the Beelzebub manga. So it's not out of the woods that potentially, that if we can look on as Satan being the demon king, the current ruler of hell, or the demon realm. And we can see the original demon being the fallen angel Lucifer. As I said, in the classification of demons, Lucifer is usually depicted as a separate prince of hell from Satan. So if we can look at this as 2, perhaps the other people that the demon king was fighting were the other 5. And were they all destroyed? Are they still there? We don't even know the current state of the demon realm. Remember, the 10 Commandments were locked in the coffin of eternal darkness. The demon king was somehow punished into purgatory. So who now takes over the chaotic demon realm, the underworld, that was under the iron fist of the demon king for thousands of years, with all his heralds, all his power, and himself locked in purgatory away from this realm? Potentially, the other 5 princes weren't all slain in the civil war that clearly took place. That being said, everyone, what do you think? You, the viewer. I hope you enjoyed this discussion video, and if you want more of this type of content, then please remember to like, share the video, and always post in that comment section down below. Once again, I have been Griever, and we'll see you next time.